That was a story of how to beat a bad team when not playing your best. Experience matters, everyone, and so does the return of Steph Curry. Let's dissect it all in today's Locked On Dub.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? The good news is the Golden State Warriors improved to 6-1 on the season, 4-0 without Steph Curry. Let's talk about it. This is Locked On Warriors, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers, place $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. A lot of ways you can check out the show. YouTube, if you're on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell if you want live shows delivered to you as they go live. Also, we're free and available wherever you get your audio podcast. Take us on the go in the mornings with myself and co-host tonight, Matt Kolsky. We both work together at 95.7 The Game. That is the flagship of the Golden State Warriors. I myself worked at CBS News Bay Area, which is KPIX, covered the Warriors title run there in 21-22, and Kolsky currently does some work here and there for KNBR in the Bay Area. Today's show, we're talking about the Warriors' win over the Houston Rockets, 125-112, the final score, how it was just not the prettiest game in the world. I mean, the box score may tell a different story. We'll discuss that. Steph Curry had a pretty nice return to the floor for the Golden State Warriors. He finishes with a team-high 24 points. On the other side, Jordan Poole, his old teammate, matches him with 24, but a completely different 24. We will get into that. Speaking of Jordan Poole, just a dangerous game he was playing out there with Draymond Green. We'll discuss Mike Dunleavy's dudes. And, of course, the free throw shooting has got to get a little better at some point this season. But instant reactions from the game that was, the obviously A-block number one topic is Steph Curry. We discussed on the last show whether he would even play in this game. I said, I don't see why you would. It's the Wizards. You're winning without him. And then we thought, when Steph's healthy, when he's cleared, A, he usually plays, and B, probably be nice to get him a little run after missing 3 games to get him back for Murderer's Row, which is coming up. And that is literally as it sounds. It is 3 consecutive games against the Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. What did you think of Steph Curry and his return to the floor today?
I think if I could have drawn up what Steph Curry's low-intensity warm-up return to the floor would have looked like, it would be just like what happened tonight. 24 minutes, 7 of 15 from the floor, 24 points in 24 minutes. Also, by the way, 6 assists, 3 rebounds because he's Steph Curry, and that's how he works. What more could you have asked for? He never had to overstress himself in this game, never had to take too much on his shoulders. He just played calm, cool basketball, and he looked just like Steph Curry, and he entered in the same health that he exited in the same health that he entered. That's all you want, right? Give him a little less than a full run, 24 minutes, play well, get warmed up for Boston. That was the goal tonight, and it went perfectly. And there was no rust, by the way. If you were concerned, no rust on Steph Curry.
This felt like a warm-up game for the stretch.
Yeah.
And based on the way the Warriors played, I mean, not really. They weren't sloppy at all. 6 turnovers in the game. They shot it an efficient 45%. The three-point shooting wasn't there. They didn't try 50. They only tried 37. Knocked down 12 of them for 32%. The free throws, 25, 34, 73%. That's not going to get it done. But they turn it over 7 times. And no, they turned it over 6, rather, like I said.
Well, 7, there's a team turnover in there somewhere, but 6 individual turnovers, 7 total as a team, and
56 rebounds. Here's an important stat, 56 rebounds to 47. So you can't call it sloppy, A. You can't call it lethargic because they were attacking the glass, B. I think you would just call it not a great game. For whatever reason, it just did not seem like it was a primetime game, which it wasn't. It was a game the Warriors were just trying to win.
Workmanlike. That's going to the office, doing a day of work, and heading home satisfied. That's what they did today. And obviously having Steph helps, especially since Pajemski mysteriously departed with an illness in the middle of the game. But overall, this just felt like no matter who was in the game, they played against a bad team with the consciousness of, if we just play decent basketball, if we don't do dumb stuff, if we don't mess this up, we're going to walk out with a double-digit win. And that's exactly what happened. Nobody was particularly electric tonight. I mean, Steph and Buddy Hield led the team in scoring, 7 of 15, 7 of 14. Good, decent shooting nights, nothing special. Kuminga was solid, 15 points for him. But again, 7 of 15. Nobody lit up the scoreboard from a shooting or scoring perspective. Nobody did anything particularly special. This was just one team is better than the other team. And if the good team doesn't kick themselves, they're going to be fine. And look, man, you got to win games like that over the course of a season, right? And I think one thing that this Warriors team has had problems with in the past, and even when they were at their best, they would occasionally drop a game against a team that they should beat because they were looking past it or just didn't have the energy that night or whatever it was, right? Last year, if they had won all the games against mediocre or worse teams where they had a double-digit lead in the second half, they would have had a real playoff spot instead of losing out in the play-in. So games like this, while not necessarily exciting or thrilling, are really important for the Warriors. If you take care of business, we talked about it before the season, this first 7 games was a take care of business run, and they went 6-1. That to me shows a level of attention to detail that we are not taking anything for granted against bad teams. We're making sure we show up for work and do the job. So, I mean, I can't say enough about how good a win like this is just for the vibe around the team. Just everybody doing their job, getting a win, and now you go into the tough stretch, the first really tough stretch of the season with one of the best records in the league.
And forget just how good a win feels. It's how good this stretch feels. They go 4-0 in a stretch that we said when we found out Steph Curry was going to miss at least 2 games, he ends up missing 3. We assumed he was going to miss 4. And we said during that 4-game stretch, we'd take 3-1, 2-2 would be disappointing, but 4-0 would be best case scenario. We don't expect it to happen. And they just, I don't want to say cruise to 4-0 because the Rockets made that very interesting late. But for the most part, I mean, they felt pretty comfortable for all 4 of these games. They were the better team. Now, I'd love to see Houston come March because that's going to be a different team that has some dudes. But the other 3, Pelicans missing some of their guys, missing Herb Jones, missing DeJounte Murray. And then this team today, the Wizards. This is just flat out a better team winning without playing their best game. And it makes me wonder, like, is this just who Golden State's going to be all year? Because if that's the case, like you said, and they can just beat teams that aren't good, they got a head start. It's hold your own against everyone else. And there's no reason to think they couldn't be a top 5 seed. I mean, the season is 10% of the way, close to 10% of the way over. Let's not forget that. And the Warriors have 1 loss. I mean, it goes quick. And then the playoffs hit and it does not go quick. And then we get like 4 months.
Yeah, if we extrapolate this, they'll win 60-something games. So that's definitely a good start. I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but the way the NBA works, more or less, I mean, when there's a team that's really running away with things, it's different. But most years, playoff teams beat the hell out of the bad teams and more or less split with the other playoff teams. That is how you become a playoff team in the NBA. You got to beat the crappy teams. And so far, so excellent in terms of the Warriors taking care of that business. And now, look, man, I think now that you're 6-1, if you go 1-2 in this next 3-game stretch, but you play 3 competitive games against arguably the 3 best teams in the league so far, I think you'll feel okay about it. Like if you're 7-3 coming home after playing it tight against Boston, Cleveland, and OKC, I think you'll feel pretty good about where the season is headed. Whereas if you came into this 4-3 and went 1-2, now you're kind of digging yourself a hole. So just taking care of your business against the lesser teams makes your life so much easier in the NBA.
Mike Dunleavy's dudes. That's all I have to say. That's the topic coming up. Mike Dunleavy went out and he got the players that he liked. He didn't listen to the outside noise, the wind horses of the world that said, the Warriors need a star. The Warriors need a second star. They can't win without a second star. Hey, wind horse, they're winning without a second star. They got a bunch of them, bunch of really good players. We're dissecting Mike Dunleavy putting this team together and just the great offseason that is now, I mean, we didn't say great at the time, but it's looking like a really good offseason. And where do the Warriors stand in the NBA as we now have our data, and we will break it down coming up on Locked On Dunk. NFL fans, now is a good time to tell you about our sponsor, FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to make your bets all in one place on the NFL. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play. You could do so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Line in the game, Warriors -10.5. Keep your points, Vegas. They do it again. Warriors cover. And if you like Warriors covering, which they've now done 6 times in their 7 games this season, you could place those bets on FanDuel.com. Another sponsor we've got for you tonight is going to be our friends over at Gametime. Let me tell you about the Gametime app. It's one of my favorite apps out there. And the reason is because I'm a procrastinator. I like getting my tickets at the last minute, and Gametime rewards you for waiting until the last second. Do it now. Do it. No, wait. Wait until the very end and skip the box office. What you can do is get on this app. 1, the closer you get to Gametime, cheaper your tickets get. 2, get a panoramic view from your seat. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. I'll get through it. And redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It is game time. Woo. Oh, God. Welcome back, Kolsky. I need you. I need you to give me a breath right there.
Every time you do that, I think of the
Warriors have gotten more than a couple of wins. They now have 6 of them. The team that Mike Dunleavy has assembled. I mean, they lose Klay Thompson. They lose Chris Paul. They lose Hall of Famers in the offseason. And kudos to them for realizing they weren't a part of their future. And instead of going out and signing some big names, going out and getting the Brandon Ingram, getting some of those Zach LaVine, they hold the rope. They stay the course. They know that they have assets to work with down the road if they need a different piece. But they said, let's go with what the analytics are telling us our team needs. It's not Klay Thompson. Our team needs someone that can play some good defense. Our team needs guys that can stop teams in transition, that can get us out and run. We could use a little extra depth, and we could use, everyone to be healthy at the same time. That's a big thing. But Mike Dunleavy, what he did this offseason, where you stand on how the Warriors look 7 games in. I mean, they're not going to be a title favorite anytime soon, but we'll know a lot more about them in these upcoming days. And I think the consensus is right now, this team's going to compete.
I think you have to expect them to be in the mix after what we've seen so far. You're right that these next 3 games will tell us a lot more, but there's no reason they shouldn't be in the mix given what we've seen. And to your point, I don't think there was any lack of interest in big names, right? But the decision that this team very clearly made this offseason, and it hasn't always gone this way over the course of the dynasty, but this offseason, they clearly set priorities to where we'll go for the big fish if we believe it's a deal that makes sense and we believe the player really fits. But if it's not a deal that makes sense, or the player doesn't really fit, like the guys you mentioned, LaVine or Ingram, we're not going to do it. And instead, we're going to spend smaller amounts of money on lesser players that we know do fit. And how many times has somebody, whether it's Bob and Kalena or a columnist writing about the team, or even Dunleavy himself, say, boy, we've had our eye on Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton for years now, right? And boy, we always knew Buddy Hield would be a great fit offensively for what we want to do. And I just think, like, we should appreciate, as Warrior fans and followers, that they're very good at that thing. The thing where they figure out, look, anybody can tell you that Jimmy Butler is a good player, right? Anybody can tell you Kevin Durant is a nice addition to your team. Not every GM in the league can pick out the guys around the league that fit in with what you do perfectly. And I just thought tonight in the second half and the fourth quarter in particular, the big minutes that you're getting from Hield, Anderson, and even Lindy Waters, who's another guy that, like, they talk about, hey, we saw him 4 years ago and thought this is a guy that can play for us if we ever get the chance to acquire him. And it took this long, but look, not Lindy's best night, but you can see his value when he's on the floor. He's just a good basketball player. He fits in with the Warriors' ball movement. He can knock down three-pointers, and he plays defense at 6'6", which is something they can really use. Like, watching Anderson, Waters, and Hield on the floor together play smart Warriors basketball to close this game out in the fourth quarter really had me thinking about what a good job it looks like Mike Dunleavy did. And as you said, the flexibility to make a big deal is still there if that opportunity arises. But in the meantime, I don't know how they could have found guys that fit better with what they want to do.
Yeah. I mean, if we really want to work with the algorithm right now, we can just put a giant picture of Giannis on the thumbnail and be like, Giannis question mark? I mean, that was obviously something that was brought up in the last few days with Giannis potential. Reportedly, if things go awry, you know, asking out, and now Warriors fans are saying, we've been connected to Giannis for a minute, but hey, we'll see. No need for speculation because we don't need to speculate on this game. We have statistics to back us up. Draymond Green with 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. How about Draymond Green? It was Jordan Poole who thought he got the last laugh with a three-pointer. I think it was late in the game, three-pointer, and he kind of gave the punching fist, the Arthur the Aardvark, Arthur Reed meme, you know, the fist, and then pointed to Draymond. They got it in slow motion, fist, pointing to Draymond. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He already got you once.
Look, man, I've been a Jordan Poole fan generally. I would like to see things go well for the guy. Obviously, there's the punch happened, and that's on Draymond. There's no doubt that Draymond did wrong there. But I think that sort of behavior, and by the way, Keyshawn George also gave us a "you can't see me" down double digits. That's why you're not on winning teams, fellas. Sorry. You know, congratulations. Keyshawn George hit 5 straight threes tonight and still shot 25% from the field. And Jordan Poole had a typically ineffective in terms of helping his team night. They both get circles spun around them on defense. If you're the kind of guy that celebrates three-pointers in a game you're clearly about to lose, your future's probably not great. It's probably not great. And I would love to see Jordan Poole figure it out because there just are not a lot of guys that can score the way he can score when he's on. He's a legitimate talent. But that sort of stuff, man, I hope it feels good because in the long term, it's getting you nowhere. So, I hope it felt really good when you did that, you know? I hope you're really happy about it because you're going to keep losing basketball games as long as that's the way you think about it. I don't know what else to say.
It is fascinating, though, that in the last 2 years, the Warriors have recycled out Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Chris Paul, names and talents and guys that can score in bunches, or Chris Paul, just a floor general that was probably past his prime. I mean, it was past his prime. Let's get real.
Yeah.
But they bring in guys like Anderson and Melton and Buddy Hield, and it's working, man. It's working. Whatever Kerr, Dunleavy, and the stats team, the analytical models are working up right now in the Bay Area. Seems to be working, but again, we don't want to get too far ahead of our skis. I think the Warriors started off 4-1 or 5-1 last year, hit a big losing streak. And I mean, look, they on paper are probably not going to be favored in many of these next 3 games. And that's why I say, come on, Kolsky, come on. They're not going to be favored, but they could still get the job done. Let's talk about the Warriors gauntlet that's coming up. That's on Locked On Dubs. Spontaneity and the bedroom. It is nothing new. It is nothing new. Sometimes intimate moments happen. We always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. HIMS is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. HIMS provides access to a wide range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site. A medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online today. Visit hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon for your personalized free ED treatment options, your online visit. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will then determine if it is appropriate. Restrictions do apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. All right, everyone. Real talk. We've been there feeling like we are just burning cash with those rent checks nowadays. It's expensive out there. And here's the good thing. You can say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with Bilt. Bilt is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent, watch the Bilt points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes. Redeem them towards a future rent payment, and they're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay your hassle-free through the Bilt Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Bilt points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use your URL so we know they sent you. We sent you. Join built.com/LockedOnNBA to start earning points with your rent payments today. All right, we are back, Kolsky. Golden State Warriors have a gauntlet coming up, much like me on the ad reads tonight. Good God, I'm sweating. God, I need some. There was a lot. Anyways, Warriors have 3 back-to-back that are not easy. And really, 7 of their next 8, 7 of their next 9 are pretty difficult. But when you just look at the week that is, it's Wednesday with the Boston Celtics. Heading to Boston, man. Heading to the Garden. It's always fun playing there. Then Friday, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then it's the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. 2 teams that are combined. I mean, you probably got the records up. It's, I would say, like what, 20-2 at this point?
It's 1. And it is 15, 21-1.
21-1.
Yep.
3 teams that are 21-1 now stand in their way of the Golden State Warriors. As of right now, no one outside of the Bay Area truly believes this team is a favorite in the NBA. They have a record up there with the best teams in the NBA, but they've beaten nobody. Let's call a spade a spade. You have 3 opportunities right here to really showcase that Golden State Warriors have not gone anywhere. They can change the narrative on this season quickly.
Yeah. That even feels strong, right? I would just say they can cement their place among the contenders pretty quickly with a couple wins in these next three. And like you said, I mean, these three are against teams that are a combined 21-1, right? That's pretty spectacular. But after that, Mavericks and Grizzlies are the next two. You know, those are pretty good teams. Clippers are the team that already beat you. That's after that. So it's like a 6-game gauntlet, really, that's right in front of you. And how you do here is going to affect what people think of this team for at least the next couple months, right? This is going to sort of set the terms. Is this a team that beats the good teams and the bad teams, or a team that beats the bad teams and then maybe not so much against the good teams, right? So I think you can announce yourself as either among the contenders or kind of a level below based on what we see. They're pretty healthy. Melton, I guess we'll see if he's able to play in any of these games, but otherwise, healthy team, playing well, going in fresh. They should be positioned to do as well as possible in these 3 games. They're tough, but why not the Warriors? And again, like, the way they got to this point is so good that I have a lot of faith they will show up for these games. Will they get wins? We'll see. But I expect all 3 of these to be very competitive.
What did Steph Curry being out teach you about some of these lineup combinations? Like Kuminga heading to the bench seems like really smart coaching due to combinations alone. I mean, they throw Gary Payton in the starting lineup with Wiggins, Curry, Trace Jackson Davis, and Draymond Green. And that allows you to go to your bench unit and get, Buddy Hield in there along with Kuminga, along with Moody, helps the spacing. What are your overall thoughts on how the Warriors have kind of tinkered with these combos through 7 games?
It's clear Jonathan Kuminga is better off when they're spacing on the floor, and that makes a lot of sense. His best games are when he's attacking the basket. That's obviously easier to do with a bunch of shooters out there. I would argue you could make that happen in the starting lineup, but it's not my decision. So if the way to get Jonathan Kuminga out there with guys who complement his game is to play him off the bench, then that's what they should do. And so far, so great. He just looks, strangely enough, some guys you would think you go to the bench, you start pressing, you take more bad shots, right? It starts to look uglier. And to Kuminga's credit, it has been the opposite. Listen, he's still going to take 1 or 2 3-pointers any given night that make you a little crazy, right? Just don't shoot the standstill threes. I don't go to Warriors practice, but I promise you he's been told that a lot of times. Don't shoot standstill threes. It's not good. But he still does it. He's 22 years old. You got to take the bad with the good sometimes. But generally, his approach coming off the bench has been to attack the basket, to crash the boards. And I'm really impressed with his drive and kick game. I honestly think if guys were knocking down 3-pointers more consistently, he'd have much better assist numbers right now because he seems committed to moving the ball when he's out there. I love it. I love watching Kuminga when he's playing well. And again, like, I don't really care if he's starting or not. As I think Bob pointed out during the broadcast tonight, he was one of the 5 guys that played the most minutes. So, if he has to do it coming off the bench, so be it. And I think this is a game where Andrew Wiggins was stinking up the joint, and so Kuminga got the bulk of the minutes that Wiggins might otherwise have had, and it worked out great.
From the most dynamic player on the Warriors to a guy that lacks explosiveness to the point that his nickname for his entire life has literally been Slowmo. He's good, man. He's good. He's not someone that's going to play 35 minutes, score 20 points ever, but 16 minutes, 20 minutes per game, knows his role perfectly. He is the definition of just a great championship role player that's never had himself a chance to win a champion. Was he on those Spurs teams? No, he was a little after. Yep. So yet to win one, but he's a championship player, man. He is a championship role player.
He's so fun to watch. He's so smart. He just does all the right things. And like, being a good defender when you're a below average NBA athlete is not easy. you got to be really smart. You got to know exactly where to be. You got to have phenomenal hands. There was a stretch tonight where he blocked a shot, tipped it back in bounds. He just does all the little things so well. And I'm not sure there's anything more fun. Was that on Sunday where he went super slow-mo on the drive? He had
and Curry had the dance on that. Yeah, that was Sunday.
Yeah, there's really nobody else like it. It doesn't totally make sense, but it's so much fun to watch. I love any NBA player who gives us something that no one else in the league really does. And that's Slowmo. He's one of a kind.
Last thing I want to bring up to Kolsky is I am officially madly in love with the lobs from Draymond Green to Trace Jackson Davis and just Trace Jackson Davis's game as a whole. I mean, let's give the coaches some more, the staff, the talent evaluators, the scouts, the GMs, everyone involved with this organization, a pat on the back for some of the talent that they've been able to scout in the late second round of the NBA draft. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, at this point, you do a redraft, he's probably a first-round pick.
Yeah, I think we should give an honorable mention in that handing out of credit to Trace Jackson Davis's agent, who just happens to be Mike Dunleavy's sibling. Not saying there were any shenanigans there, just saying. It worked out great. I'm not saying Mike Dunleavy's brother put it out there that Trace Jackson Davis might not sign with anybody but the Warriors. I'm not saying that happened. But it worked out nicely, didn't it?
It worked out very nicely, man.
It's hard to understand how that guy fell as far as he did. It really is, because
it's 25-10 in Indiana.
Well, and he was a finished product. A lot of times that hurts you in the draft to an extent, right? I understand an older guy, not a tall, an undersized center. I understand he's not going in the lottery. But you would have thought that one of the smarter teams in the second half of the draft would have said, here's a finished product that can do some things for us today. And certainly, since he's gotten to the Warriors, he is as advertised. He came in a finished product who can do stuff for you on an NBA floor. And I think his athleticism and his defensive intelligence has turned him into a player that's better than even the Warriors thought he would be when they drafted him.
Been really good. Now's a good time to tell you about our newsletter. Yeah, the Locked On Warriors daily newsletter. It's a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage. It's delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for it right now. It's free. If it's free, it's for me. It's for you. It's for everybody.
Give me three.
LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And you'll start your day with a free Locked On Warriors newsletter written by me and a plethora of our friends from the Locked On Podcast Network. Matt Kolsky always joins us on these shows. Appreciate it, man. Warriors get back to it on Wednesday against the Boston Celtics. So I will see you then, and then we'll have a show tomorrow. Every day, folks, what we do, free and available wherever you get your audio podcast. Peace!
Get some!